Why do you exist? Why do you receive the gift of being able to wake up every day? And when you wake up, what motivates you to do your best that day? Family, money, status. After you reach that goal, do you think you'll be completely fulfilled? Or do you think that you'll continue to have that void inside of you asking for something more? Why are there days where you feel 100% fulfilled and days you wonder why you even exist? You wonder why you have to keep living in this rapid pace that the world imposes onto us, spending more time striving for a good life than actually living a good life. Why is that? Why have you been inserted in the family that you have? Even more specifically, your family. Why are you poor? Why are you rich? Why do you hate your job? Why do you love your job? Why do you even have a job? Well, Lucas, to make money and support myself and my loved ones. Well, did you ask to be born and have to make money to support yourself and your loved ones? Life is a big why. And I'm sure these must be just some of the endless questions that you might ask yourself on a daily basis. Good news is, you're not alone in all of this questioning. And I'm here today to tell you how God showed me the answers and how He would like to do the same with you. I'm here to talk about life purpose. I want to help you answer all of these and other disturbing questions that you might have and help you find the purpose of your existence. But first, please, if this video is making sense to you, subscribe to this channel by clicking here below. I will be constantly producing content in my 4 languages, English, Portuguese, Spanish, and Italian, with the intent of setting fire to the largest amount of souls around the world. Well, in order to help you answer all of these questions and figure out your purpose, today I will divide this video into 3 parts. First, I'm going to briefly tell you my story. Second, I'm going to show you when and how exactly God opened my eyes, revealing to me my life purpose. And third, I will tell you the 5 steps that you need to follow in order to find your purpose and start living a life of significance. My name is Lucas Maia. I'm a Christian and I have my faith in God as my foundation, my source of strength and wisdom. I'm CEO and founder of Lucas Maia LLC, my consulting, mentoring, and coaching company based out of Miami, Florida in the United States, and with a second location in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. I train people worldwide, both online and on site, in my 4 languages. The reason? The fact that you have not been created to live a mediocre life. You have been created to live a life full of significance. And that's why I help people find what sets fire in their soul. I take them to the best version of themselves, and I have them live a life of significance instead of just living without a purpose. Today, I'm 29 years old. When I started my company, I was 28, fulfilling the prophecy that my very first boss made years ago, who told me I'll be CEO before 30, which happened after a lot of hard work. I'm originally from Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, but I have always been around the world. I lived in the US for about 7 years, where I graduated and started my professional career. I also lived in Italy for another 1.5 years and did lots more traveling in between, completing a whole decade seeking my real mission internationally and preparing myself to live it. I have lots of passions, such as languages, the international life, the business and the marketing world, sports, and mainly helping human beings grow. I'm a former soccer player. I have a long love story with the sport. During my adolescence, I played for Botafogo de Futebol e Regatas, one of the main soccer teams in Rio, my hometown. Still through soccer, I was offered a sports scholarship at Milligan University in Johnson City, Tennessee in the United States. A school I hold very dear to my heart, which I also got to call home for a long time. At Milligan, I got my bachelor's degree in communications and my minor in business administration. After that, I got my first job in Charlotte, North Carolina, still in the United States. From the US, my professional career then branched out to Latin America, including countries such as Brazil and Mexico. I was a marketing assistant for North and Latin America, and not long after I was promoted to marketing specialist. While in this position, I got to travel to different countries in Latin America and explore the different aspects in the business and marketing world. Soon after, once again I was promoted. I became a marketing manager for the European market, which had me move to Italy, from where I organized and oversaw the marketing team in several European countries such as France, Spain, Greece, Belgium, the Netherlands, and more. In addition to my territory, I was part of the coordination of the international marketing department, consisted of 33 people around the world. And finally, it was during this time that I encountered the key event that changed my life forever, which confirmed my mission of training people, helping them find what sets fire in their soul, taking them to the best version of themselves, and having them live a life of significance instead of just living without a purpose. Well, now that you already know a little bit about my story, I'd like to enter number 2. I'm going to tell you when and how exactly God opened my eyes, revealing to me my life purpose. It was December of 2018. I decided to invite my parents, my brothers, and my grandparents from my mother's side to spend Christmas at my house in Charlotte, North Carolina in the United States. We spent an entire month together. I then decided to take them to visit New York City. We spent a whole weekend up there, and that's when it all began. My grandpa started to feel very sick in the stomach. Long story short, we took him to the hospital, and my grandpa got diagnosed with gallbladder cancer. Doctors gave him 3 months. So we put him on a flight back to Rio, my hometown, and as soon as he got to Rio, he was hospitalized for a while and then sent home. My grandpa then stayed at my parents for 5 months. Everyone got to visit him and say goodbye to him. People that were with him on a daily basis and people who hadn't seen him in a long time. My grandpa was the best human being I have ever met. He was so good that towards the end of his days, God was so merciful with him that he got converted. He started proclaiming the name of Jesus out loud several times, something he had never done before. After that, it was May of 2019. My grandpa was still in Rio, fighting for his life, when I finally received the most dreaded phone call. It was my mom, saying, "Lucas, if you don't come back now, you will not be able to say goodbye to your grandpa." I said, "Okay, Mom, I'll be on the next flight I can get this week." She said, "Lucas, I don't think you understand what I'm saying. If you don't get here today or tomorrow, that's it." So I caught the very first flight I was able to find that day at 7 p.m. I landed in Rio the morning after and went straight to the hospital. When I got there, my grandpa was already sedated. Doctors told us he might last until the end of the afternoon. The day passed and it was already 9:30 p.m. The old man was still there, strong. Nothing different from how strong he always had been. Sergeant Linhares, Brazilian military. It was 9:30 p.m. The monitor started to beep and the numbers to drop. We braced ourselves. We started praying for him and over him non-stop. We thanked him for everything he had done for us. We kept telling him how much he meant to us. When the monitor finally went, Grandma lost it like never before. Mom, a little brother the same. And me thinking, what is life really? That's right. I had just witnessed my grandpa's passing right there, right in front of me. The very moment that shook me like nothing before. I stayed for the funeral, then a few more days with my family. Then I finally headed back home to live a life I no longer understood what was for. And look, I'm the kind of person that always gives their 200% at everything they do, always trying to go beyond expectations, at work and in my personal life, period. I did the bare minimum, just so that work wouldn't pile up. Mind you, Was I devastated because of my grandpa's passing? Absolutely. But what was affecting me the most was the question that came with it. Why do I have to keep doing what I do every day if all of us will go down the same path? It was the most miserable, yet the most fruitful moment of my life, because that was the time God started to open my eyes. Let me explain. I was so miserable, I reached out to a friend, a very special person in my life. She told me to read the book of Ecclesiastes. Wow, it struck me hard. I felt like that book of the Bible had been written to me. I hope you have already read that book yourself. If not, I strongly recommend it. But in a brief summary, King Solomon wrote that book when he was in a profound search for the meaning of life. Solomon's main phrase, which he repeats over and over in this book, is, "I have seen all the things that are done under the sun. All of them are meaningless, a chasing after the wind." Solomon thought life was pointless, and that bothered him tremendously. That bothered him so much that he decided at several different points of his life to prove himself wrong. So in order to prove to himself that life did in fact have a meaning, he did not hold back and gave himself everything that he wanted. He built temples, threw the best parties, and much more. And at the end, he continued to feel the same way, that life was vanity, a continuous chase after the wind. God showed him that it's true, nothing is new in life, and that a life with God, in which you live the purpose that God has chosen for you, is all that matters. Everything else that you have in life are gifts from God to you, so you have a pleasant earthly life. In fact, He has a lot more to give you, but as long as you understand that your priority is a life with God and for God. When I realized all of this, 80% of my internal issues were resolved. But Lucas, how about the last 20%? Well, that came a couple of months later. It was October of 2019, a Friday night. I got home after a regular work day and I cried myself to my knees asking God why I was still feeling that way, so distressed. I had the most perfect life, absolutely nothing to complain about. I had the freedom and the money to travel the world. In fact, I was already doing that given the position I had at work at the time. I felt happy, but that void would not go away. I ran into this Facebook ad that said, "Become a life coach." Right away, I called Bruce, my mentor to this day. Bruce Mansion is a keynote speaker, coach, and consultant whom I worked with in 2014 as an intern at his company in Las Vegas in the United States. I told him everything and I asked him what he thought about my wanting to become a life coach. Everything that I'm telling you today, I told Bruce that day. Besides that, I told him several other situations that had taken place in my life before, which in my head were also hints that I should do something like leading others into a better life for a living. Situations such as my leadership profile and my tendency to lead people in whatever I did, as it happened in soccer for instance, given my years as captain. People always telling me I should be a motivational speaker. This endless pleasure I have always taken in listening to others and helping them untie the knots they have in their hearts and heads so that they can live a better life. And so, at the end of our conversation, he told me, "Brother, congratulations. You have just now found your life purpose. I have always known that helping people grow and changing lives was your purpose, but I needed you to realize that yourself." After that day, I got trained by Bruce. I got certified in Everything DISC, one of the best behavior assessments in the world. I studied personal development. I combined it with my communications and business education, my professional background and skills, as well as my international experience in languages, and finally started Lucas Maia LLC, becoming a personal and professional consultant, mentor, and coach worldwide. So, this was how God showed me my purpose, the exact moment and way He opened my eyes. Why am I telling you all of this? so that I can lay the foundation for what is coming next. My third point, what I did and what you should do so that you allow God to take you to your purpose as well and show you the big why of your existence. So let's get into the third point, the 5 steps that you need to follow in order to find your purpose and start living a life of significance. Well, for a long time, I asked myself these same questions that you're asking yourself right now. I also carried this void that nothing could fill. I was not unhappy. Don't confuse the purpose ache with unhappiness. Some people will have the ache and be unhappy as well, but others will be happy and just feel like their life is missing the cherry on top. They have a great life, but they feel there's a crucial missing piece of the puzzle. This guy was me. That being said, let's get into the main question I want to ask you today. Do you want to know your life purpose? The reason for your existence? Ask who created you. It's that simple. Pastor Rick Warren says in his book, The Purpose-Driven Life, that you were made by God and for God, and until you understand that, life will never make sense. Having said that, these are the 5 steps I have put together to show you how God revealed me my purpose and how He will reveal yours to you as well. Number 1, live a life according to Jesus' teachings. 2, pay attention to your passions, strengths, skills, talents, or things you have done successfully in life to help others. 3, among the words you come up with, find the one that sets fire in your soul the most. 4, ask God for approval of it. And 5, keep moving and listening to God's voice. The result? Your purpose. Let me say that again. Number 1, live a life according to Jesus' teachings. 2, pay attention to your passions, strengths, skills, talents, or things you have done successfully in life to help others. 3, among the words you come up with, find the one that sets fire in your soul the most. 4, ask God for approval of it. 5, keep moving and listening to God's voice. Because I have always followed these 5 steps in the way I have lived my life, God has always kept me on the right purpose path, in spite of me not knowing what it was. My purpose was not a one-time discovery. It was the result of a long time following the 5 steps I have just listed for you, until God used a key event in my life, my grandpa's passing, to show me it was time for me to start living it. So, let me give you 2 examples of how my following of the 5 steps brought me to my purpose. Example number 1, my soccer career, where it all started. Playing soccer and trying to make it to the pros was my life back when I was a teenager. But it wasn't always like that. There was a time where I decided I didn't want to play anymore. I decided I wanted to study only. Understand this, soccer is not and has never been my life purpose. Today, I do not play soccer for a living, to change the world or anything like that. Did I know back then that soccer was not my purpose? Absolutely not. Did I keep playing it? Yes. Why, Lucas? Because after following the 5 steps I just gave you, God kept telling me to continue moving forward, and so I did. The result? I know my purpose today. Through soccer, I got my sports scholarship at an amazing school in the United States, where my professional career took off soon after, which brought me to where I am today. Do you see the dots connecting within the 5 steps? Yes? No? Let me walk you through the 5 steps within my soccer career, and let me show you how following them brought me to my purpose. Number 1, live a life according to Jesus' teachings. Soccer never interfered with my life with Jesus. In fact, I tried to live my soccer career with Jesus in it at all times. Number 2, pay attention to your passions, strengths, skills, talents, or things you have done successfully in life to help others. Soccer was a passion and a talent of mine. It has always been. Number 3, among the words you come up with, find the one that sets fire in your soul the most. Soccer definitely set fire in my soul. It was always everything to me. Number 4, ask God for approval of it. I constantly asked God for approval of that dream I had of becoming a professional soccer player. Which takes us to number 5, keep moving and listening to God's voice. Chuck Blakeman says in his amazing book, Making Money is Killing Your Business, that the rudder won't turn the ship unless the ship is moving. He also says that the faster the ship is moving, the less you have to move the rudder to make a significant impact on the direction of the ship. That being said, I kept moving, I kept playing, I kept on listening to God's voice. And God kept on confirming I was on the right path despite it not being the final destination. Meaning, until then, I needed soccer in order to get the scholarship, in order to graduate from college, and to start living the following steps, which brought me to where I am today. Soccer was one of the very first ways God used to keep me on the purpose path. Now, example number 2, my international background and the 4 languages that I master, and how my following of the 5 steps within this topic also brought me to my purpose. During my entire life, I traveled and studied languages, of which I mastered 4: English, Portuguese, Spanish, and Italian. I have worked in several different countries and continents. Today, I help people around the world find what sets fire in their soul, become their best version, and live a life full of significance. Not only do I get to stay in contact on a daily basis with my passion for the international life and languages, but it's also a huge part of my purpose. I get to communicate with people from different parts of the world every day. Now, did I know that all of my international background and the languages that I mastered would play a huge role in my life purpose? Absolutely not. Did I keep traveling the world, working on myself, seeking my best version? Yes. Why? Because after following the 5 steps, God kept telling me to continue, and so I did. The result? Purpose. Had I not followed through with my traveling and the learning of my languages, I would not have accomplished everything else related to my purpose that came after that. I would not be here talking to you, as I wouldn't have found my purpose. So once again, just like we did with my soccer career, let me walk you through the 5 steps within my international background and the 4 languages that I mastered, and let me show you how following them brought me to my purpose as well. Number 1, live a life according to Jesus' teachings. Wherever I was in the world, I tried to live according to Jesus' teachings. I actually took pleasure in learning how to live my faith in other languages, in other cultures. Number 2, pay attention to your passions, strengths, skills, talents, or things you have done in life successfully to help others. The international world and languages were and still are a huge passion of mine, in addition to the fact that the languages are a huge strength of mine as well. Number 3, among the words you come up with, find the one that sets fire in your soul the most. The international world and languages have always set fire in my soul. Knowing that I was living in other countries, speaking different languages, working on myself, always got me extremely happy. Even though I didn't know it was something that later on would be a huge part of my purpose. Number 4, ask God for approval of it. I constantly asked God for approval on all of my moving around and life changes. My biggest fear was making a wrong move and being unhappy. So I asked God for approval before I took any kind of step. Which takes us to number 5, keep moving and listening to God's voice. Remember the ship story I told earlier in the video? That's right. So I kept moving, studying here and there, taking jobs here and there. I kept moving, and God kept guiding me, correcting me whenever it was necessary, as I always considered His approval for everything. Do you see the 5 steps connecting again? Just like it happened with soccer, God has only allowed me to acquire all of my international experience and learn my languages so that they would be a huge part of my purpose later on, even though I did not know back in the time that that was going to happen. Today, year 2021, I could easily say that I had found my purpose. But again, it wasn't a one-time discovery. It was the result of a long time following the 5 steps I gave you today until God used a key event in my life, my grandpa's passing, to show me it was time to actually start living it. Now, should I call off the purpose search since I already know mine? Absolutely not. I will keep on following the 5 steps. And you know why? Because God can always adjust your purpose. Even if you think that you have already found yours, do not quit following the 5 steps. God could adjust it at any time and have even greater things coming your way. So stick with the 5 steps at all times, and I'm sure that God will show you the plans He has for you. I firmly believe in the mentality that the creature cannot and should not guide itself, meaning who better than its own creator to guide them, the one that actually knows what it needs in order to be happy. Well, now you already know my story, how God opened my eyes and showed me my purpose, and the 5 steps that you should follow in order to find yours. Don't settle for anything less than God's purpose for you. However, it will not happen if you don't take action. Just like everything else in life, nobody can do it for you, not even God, because He's a God that lets us choose. But if you do choose to follow the 5 steps I have told you today, I can guarantee that He will reveal your life purpose to you. It doesn't matter how long it will take, as God keeps us happy and fulfilled if we are at least on the correct path towards our purpose, even if you haven't gotten to the purpose itself yet. What matters is staying on the purpose path. And when God thinks it's time to reveal it to you, He will do so just like He did with me. It also doesn't matter if you have already made so many mistakes that have put you in the wrong direction. The path back to our purpose is always better than any other path that might be off the track that God might have designed for us in the first place. So if that's your case, do not worry and start right now the search for your purpose. If you just follow these 5 steps, I'm 100% sure that God will honor you. I'm sure He will set fire to your soul and will teach you how to live a life of significance. Number 1, live a life according to Jesus' teachings. 2, pay attention to your passions, strengths, skills, talents, and things you have done successfully in life to help others. 3, among the words you come up with, find the one that sets fire in your soul the most. 4, ask God for approval of it. And 5, keep moving and listening to God's voice. The result will always be the revelation of your purpose. Last but not least, be aware of the fact that your life purpose will always be focused on your neighbor, never on yourself. We have been put on this planet to serve, so everybody's purpose is related to service. Don't forget that. May God bless you, and I will see you in the next video.